Sign of a quick solution. Today, angry academics marched on their governing body demanding better pay, but their strike actions are likely to affect thousands of student graduations this summer. Students' unions across the country are saying they no longer want to be used as pawns in this dispute. Well, to discuss what's at stake for both sides, we're joined by Alistair Osborn from the University of the West of England, one of the student bodies who've launched the Give Us Our Marks campaign, and by the joint president of the newly merged University and College Union, Steve Wharton. Alistair, let's start with you for the student perspective first. How, at the moment at least, is this industrial action affecting students where you are?
I think at the moment what we see is an awful lot of mental stress being put on students. It's an extremely poor time to be placing extra anxiety and uncertainty onto students in this crucial exam period for them. And obviously they will start to feel the effects further once they, if the marks are withheld for longer and they miss awarding bodies.
White-collar pay since 1981 to 2001 leapt 57%. Lecturers in that time saw their pay go up by about 7%. They do have a case, don't they?
I don't think anybody has a serious case for refuting the lecturer's claim, but I think what we're seeing is a severely misdirected action. The lecturers have a real case with the universities, but not with the students, and it's the students who are suffering.
Steve Wharton, to get the union perspective, there's never a good time, I suppose, to boycott an examination, but when people are in the midst of their finals, the damage can be very severe.
Indeed it can, and it's a matter of great regret to us that we find ourselves in this position, but the responsibility lies very clearly with the Vice-Chancellors. We submitted a pay claim in October last year, and it was only 3 weeks ago, on the 8th of May, that we sat down in formal negotiations. We'd made it very clear to the Vice-Chancellors what needed to be done, that we wanted to engage early with them, and instead of doing that, they've sat idly by and watched this situation develop. It's they who have the full responsibility. I sympathise entirely for the pressure that students are feeling, and believe you me, our members are also feeling that pressure, because we want to ensure that students graduate, but we're unable to do so in the face of the obduracy that we see from Vice-Chancellors. The
essential arithmetic, though, Steve, is that you've been offered, what, 13.1% over the next 3 years. There are a good many people working within the public sector who would consider that an above-inflation pay increase, and they'd say, thank you very much, we'll bite your hand off.
Indeed they would, but as you were saying in the introduction to this piece, there's actually been a 40% decline in relative terms in the value of academic salaries over the last 20 years. The excuse the Vice-Chancellors have always used is, well, we'd love to give you more money, but we don't have it. Well, from September this year, following the introduction of tuition fees and other mechanisms, there's going to be something like an extra £3 billion coming into higher education over the next 3 years. Vice-Chancellors having told government that the introduction of tuition fees would actually enable them to redress the imbalances in staff pay, are now actually refusing to put that money towards what they said it would be used for.
Alistair Osborn, down there in the West Country, what leverage, if any, do student leaders and students generally have? And we hear stories, for instance, about some students considering legal action against their universities. That feels pretty extreme.
I think it is extremely extreme. But you have to remember that students are confused and they don't fully understand what's happening. The leverage we have here at University of the West of England, we're trying to bring both the institution and the union leaders here together and trying to talk this through. From this union's perspective, our members believe that if the unions were to negotiate on a local level, that they would receive a fair pay offer, something that the institution can afford, and also it would speed up the resolution for students' sake.
Steve Wharton, final brief answer if you would. Whose intervention, if any, can resolve this?
We need simply to get the Vice-Chancellors back in the room to negotiate. I'm happy to walk out of this studio now and go into discussions to resolve this. It needs to be done quickly. Students need to have their mind set at rest, and so the ball is firmly in the Vice-Chancellor's court at this point in time.
OK. Steve Wharton, Alistair Osborn down there in Bristol. Thank you both, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.